Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 32 of the Willow Cove Crafts podcast, a podcast about knitting and sewing and my other crafty endeavors. My name is Emily, and you can find me on both Ravelry and Instagram as Willow Cove Crafts. Today is Sunday. I don't know what the date is. July 16th, 17th, somewhere around there, a Sunday in mid-July. And I am coming to you from just outside of Madison in Verona, Wisconsin. As always, if you are new here, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me. If you are so inclined, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe if you are not already. It really helps boost my channel, and more than that, I really love interacting with you all and hearing from you all, and getting to connect with you via YouTube. You may have noticed that I introduced this episode as episode 32, which I think is about right. Over the last couple months, I have been experimenting with monthly videos. So the idea was that I would publish kind of a standard podcast monthly, and then I would do additional videos for finished objects. And I was finding that I didn't love filming finished object videos for whatever reason. They're not vastly different than what I talk about during a standard podcast. However, I don't know what it was. I didn't like filming them. Also, I wasn't really finishing anything, and so I was only putting up a video every month. I cannot stick to a project lately. I have done a good job the last few weeks, but over the last few months have definitely been project hopping, and I haven't really finished anything. And so those kind of in between finished object videos just weren't happening. And I was only filming once a month, which really felt like a long time. And I missed filming and really wanted to do it more often. I do think every 2 weeks is ideal for me. 2 weeks if I can, 3 weeks if there's some sort of schedule change. And so I gave it a good think and decided to get back to what I had been doing previously, and to just kind of stick to a format that I know that I really enjoy. I think a lot of you out there really enjoy. So moving forward, I think I am going to try and film every other week. So yes, tried something new. It didn't work out. That's all right. And moving forward, I'm gonna be going back to how I used to do my videos, which is every other week. So hopefully that appeals to you as well. Today's episode, I think I will start by going through the making content, so knitting and sewing, and then towards the end of the episode, I will give you all a little life update, the things that we have been up to over the last couple weeks. I believe it's been 3 weeks since I last recorded, and we've had a busy couple weeks, so I will fill you all in on that. To start us off today, I wanted to share what I am wearing. I have worn this shirt several times on the podcast, so if you are a returning viewer, you might recognize this. I'm not going to stand up, but this is my Scout tee by Grainline Studio. I sewed this last summer out of a striped linen, and this is actually the second time I've worn it between washes, so it is a little wrinkly, but such is life. I really do not like ironing clothes. I'll do it if it's really bad, but I don't think it's that bad. But anyways, it's a really nice t-shirt. I did the cuffed sleeve option. There's a couple different sleeve options within that pattern. And I Really love this top. It's maybe my favorite top I've ever sewn to date. And yeah, I do get a lot of wear out of it in the summer months. I do not have any finished objects this episode, so we will move right into what I am working on. I don't have a finished object, but I am very, very close on this first work in progress. I showed this during my last episode, and it is really close to being done. I am hoping to actually finish it up this evening after I edit this episode. But I have been working on the Sunday sweater by PetiteKnit, and it is hard to fit in frame. Let me find, so last time I filmed, I was where this marker is, which is about a little over halfway down the body. This sweater is knit starting at the neckline, and then it is a circular yoke. You split for the sleeves and then knit the body and sleeves separately. So I was about halfway down the body last time, and since then I have finished the body and I have knit about 90% of each of the sleeves. So this is my second sleeve. My needles are still in that one, and then this is my first sleeve. I have the stitches on, what are those called? TKB cords, which are amazing, a really useful tool to hold your stitches. The Sunday sweater has these big balloon sleeves, so you'll notice on my first sleeve, maybe you can tell, but the sleeve actually gets bigger as you work your way down towards the cuff. And then when you're done with those increases and you knit your sleeve to as long as it's gonna be, I have mohair in my mouth, you do some rapid decreases and then you knit the cuff, and it makes a really big balloon sleeve. I got to the point where I needed to decrease my needle size to do the decreases and the cuff, and I didn't have the needles I needed with me. I was out of the house, and so I just put those on a cord and have since been working on the second sleeve. And I think I have maybe 3 or 4 more rounds to go on the second sleeve before I'm ready to do the decreases on that sleeve as well. So I definitely think it is within reason to finish this up this evening. If not tonight, definitely before next episode. I literally have maybe in total 20 more rounds to knit together on the sleeves. So definitely doable, and I will have my first finished object in months. I think I mentioned the last time I recorded that I don't think I've finished a knitting project since February, and it is now July. So a little bit of a 5-month hiatus from finishing knitting projects. I've done a ton of knitting. If you've been watching, you will know that I have started a lot of projects, have knit on a lot of projects, but I haven't been able to finish any of them. So it's nice to have something so close to being finished. The yarn I'm using for this sweater is 2 yarns held double, and I am on my last 2 balls of each of these, so I only have the tags to show you. The main yarn I am using is Drops Air, and this is in color 34, which on the website I purchased this from was labeled as Pink Marble, I believe. So Drops Air is 65% alpaca, 28% polyamide, and 7% wool. It is, I think, considered a bulky weight yarn, and it is blown. So if you look at it pretty closely, you might be able to see that there's this chainette structure and then there's fiber blown into that chain, and it makes just a very fluffy, wonderful, soft yarn. And I am holding that double with Drobs Kid Silk. Here's the tag for that. This is a lace weight, 75% mohair, 25% silk. And I have this much left. So yeah, I'm on my last, woo, how fun. I am on my last ball of each of these, and I feel very comfortable with the amount of the Drobs Air I have left. Not so much with the mohair. I have weighed this. So I weighed it, knit a few rows, and kind of kept track of how many rows I knit, and, you know, did some weight calculations and determined that I do have enough to finish the sweater, or I should say I should have enough to finish the sweater. I will believe it when I see it. I'm a little nervous with how much mohair I have left. I guess I'll find out this evening. Again, I weighed it. Weights typically don't lie. It should be enough, but yeah, I'm cutting it close. But yes, I am loving this. I don't think I said, I'm all over the place today. The colorway for the Kid Silk is color 20, which I believe is light beige, in case you were wondering. And yeah, here are them together. This one is definitely more pink, and this one is more tan, but they are pretty close in color. I do think they pair really nicely together. And yeah. It is mid-July, so I will probably not be able to wear this for a couple months, but it is exciting to know that once the weather turns cool again, I will have a fresh new sweater to wear. And yeah, it's just this perfect, squishy, glorious thing. Like, look at that halo. Ah. Amazing. Anyways, Sunday sweater by PetiteKnit. I think, unless something crazy happens, this should definitely be a finished object the next time I record. So yes, I'm committing that to you. It's gonna get finished. I do have a new cast on this week that I will introduce you all to. I'm trying to keep my knitting projects to no more than 2. In my dream life, I am a monogamous knitter, but I really just don't think that's practical for me. I do like a little bit of variety, but too much variety and I just feel very scattered and all over the place. So anyways, my Sunday sweater was getting a bit unwieldy. It's, you know, almost finished, so it's at its full size. It's this big, heavy sweater, and it was quickly becoming not the best choice for out of the house knitting. So I decided to start a new project that would be a little bit more travel friendly, a little bit easier to cart around, fit into my bag, that sort of thing. So this next project is actually kind of new for me. I have never knit something quite like this. So historically, I have not been the biggest fan of summer knits. Tank tops, t-shirts, knitting with silk or linen or cotton. I've kind of strictly been a wool sweater type of gal. But I don't know, the last few months, there have just been some super amazing, gorgeous patterns that I have seen. They're not all new, they're new to me. But yeah, I've just been seeing these really great t-shirt and tank top patterns, and I have become pretty smitten with a few of them. And so I decided that I was gonna take a stab at my very first knit t-shirt. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. I did contemplate, so I did purchase some quantities to make tank tops and t-shirts in, more summer friendly fibers. So I have bought some linen and some silk, just to like try that out. Like I said, I've never knit with those fibers before. But I was curious, and I did a little bit of research online about wool in the summer. I do, in my heart, wool is my absolute favorite thing to knit with. And I was really curious, what if I did knit a wool t-shirt? Because, when I think of wool, I think of a big, heavy winter sweater, but I was really curious, if I knit a fingering weight wool summer top, would it still, would it be too warm? And what I have been reading is that no, a lot of people don't find it too warm. I have heard a lot that wool is like a magical substance. I think, if you're here watching this, you probably have a good idea about how amazing wool is. But I have read over and over again that wool, it keeps you warm, but it also, on the other end of the spectrum, it's moisture wicking, which helps keep you cool. And I've heard people say this, that wool actually, despite its reputation for being a super warm fiber, also does a pretty good job of keeping you cool. And so I did a little bit of research on this and have found lots of different people claiming the same thing. And so I thought, only one way to really know for sure is to knit a wool t-shirt and see how it fares. So while I have a lot of more summer friendly fibers kind of waiting in the wings for future summer knits, I did decide to knit my first one out of a wool yarn. And we will see how it goes. I definitely think, I can wear this other times of year in the spring and in the fall if it ends up being too warm. But yeah, I'd be curious for those of you out there watching this, if you have any summer garments that you have knit out of wool, and if they are too warm, or if you find that they do a good job of being kind of lightweight summer shirts. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that. Anyways, let's actually talk about my project. That was kind of my thought process going into casting this on. I decided to knit the Moonset Tee by Ozetta. I have been admiring this pattern for a couple months now. It's a pretty simple t-shirt. I really like the V neckline in that pattern. Again, I think it's like very clean, very classic. I really have been admiring that pattern. So that was the one I decided to start with, and here's where I'm at so far. It looks like a whole lot of nothing, and it's all stockinette, so it's curling up on itself as stockinette is wont to do. But this is what I've got so far. This is the back. So how the construction of this t-shirt works is you start at the back neck, and then you do short rows to kind of form a shoulder seam. So you might notice and it's super hard to show, but the middle back is straight, and then it does angle off into kind of a trapezoid. I used to teach geometry, and now I don't remember any of the shapes. Not no shapes, but like, you know, obviously I know what a square and a circle is, but like trapezoid, rhombus, I don't remember the difference between any of those. But anyways, I digress. It does angle, and this is the shoulder seam. This is obviously the back, but you know, this will kind of sit up here as the shoulder seam. And I am now working straight, which I assume this is, you know, the arm of the shirt. And then once I'm done with the back, kind of up to the armpits, you pick up stitches along the shoulder to knit 2 fronts that will eventually join in a V, and then you knit the rest of the body in the round. So pretty simple project so far. Again, it's straight stockinette. It does have a ribbed kind of detail around the V-neck. And yeah, I've been really enjoying working on this. I really love the color, which is beige, which, if you're a returning viewer, you'll know I love a neutral. So really loving that. Let me talk about the yarn that I am using. So I went into my stash and picked out, I have a couple sweater quantities, maybe not quite sweater, but I originally bought this yarn to make shawls, but it was the perfect amount to make a t-shirt. So I decided to repurpose this yarn for this project and potentially future wool t-shirts if this goes well. But I am using Ampersand fibers. This is the Caslon fingering base, which is a fingering weight. It's 100% US Corriedale, which is a breed of sheep. And this is the colorway Oat 01. I do want to talk about Ampersand fibers for a minute because they are quickly becoming one of my favorite yarn brands. So this is a hand-dyed yarn. She does, oh, I cannot remember her name, but my understanding is that you can buy this yarn at Shop La Mercerie, and I believe this is Shop La Mercerie's yarn line. So you can only get it there, but they do have a really great online shop, and there is a fingering version and a DK version, and it is hand dyed, but they do these, I think technically it's a tonal, but it's a very subtle tonal, so it almost looks like a flat color. You can kind of see on my knitted fabric that there is subtle variation within the yarn. And that's just the nature of hand-dyed yarns. You're never gonna get a completely flat color the same way you would with a commercial yarn. I don't know the ins and outs of why that is, but I do know that that is pretty factual. And then yes, all of their, so they have different shades of all of the colors. And so this is Oat 01. There's also an Oat 02 and an Oat 03, I believe. And so, you know, they're all these like tanny beige colors, but they do get darker as the number ticks up. And I love Ampersand fibers because every single color in their line is like the perfect shade of that color for me and my taste. Even the colors that I don't typically like too much, so like I'm not a big blue person, but all of their blues are just perfect. Like, you know, I would knit a sweater out of that shade of blue, even though I'm not a big blue person. And then yes, obviously, you know, my more favorite colors, you know, the mauve, the beige, the gray, like they're just all perfectly stunning. So I really recommend you go check out Ampersand Fibers. Again, you can look at their yarn at Shop La Mercerie, which is an online yarn shop. I don't know if they have a brick and mortar store as well, but they definitely have an online shop. And yes, really big fan. I'm loving knitting with this yarn. And yes, not much else to say about this at this point. It is a very simple pattern, but it is the first of its kind for me. I'm excited to see how this fits. I've never knit anything with this construction before, so that is also new. So a big learning experience with this one. So I will definitely keep you posted on my progress. And that is all I have for knitting works in progress. So I think we will move on to my non-knitting works in progress. Last episode, I showed you that I had started the Cozy Cafe cross stitch by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It's a really cute pattern with drinks on it. It's just, got 10 different little drink motifs. I think it would be really cute to get framed and hang in the kitchen. But since last time, I have finished my first motif. Let me kind of center it on the fabric. And it is Raspberry Mocha. So I think last episode I had just finished stitching the cup with the panda on it. And over the last couple weeks I did this froth on the top, did these raspberries, did the handle, and then the lettering at the top. So trying to get that to catch the light well for you. And I just think it's so cute. Like, look at it. It's just so sweet. Anyways, this is a larger cross stitch. Again, this is one of 10 drinks that will be on it. And then there's also some embellishment around the edges. And then there's beading that I will add at the end. I've never done beading on a cross stitch before, but I did read that you should wait until the end to do all of your beading because, so there is beading that will go onto this motif. All of the motifs have beads, but I wouldn't want to put the beads on now because then, as I move my hoop around on the entire piece, the hoop could crush or break the beads, and it's just not good for, it's not obviously good to squish your beads inside a hoop. So here's kind of an idea of the whole size of the finished piece. So you can imagine, that's one of the drinks. It's in the top center position. And so I will fill in the rest of them over time. I do imagine that this will be a longer term project. But I do enjoy working on it a little bit each week. Next up, I think I'm gonna be doing right next to Raspberry Mocha, there is a cup of Earl Grey tea, and I think that will be the next motif I get started on. So I will be sure to show that to you next time as I make some progress on it. Next, we will talk about sewing. I have not done any real sewing over the last few weeks. I mentioned in my last episode that my sewing machine has really been acting up. And so I took it in this past week to get it serviced and cleaned. They said the turnaround time would be about 3 weeks. So my machine, I will probably be without it for another 2.5 weeks. So I have mostly been planning what I want to sew next. And part of those plans kind of gets into an acquisition, a very exciting acquisition. So it was my birthday about 2 weeks ago at this point. My birthday is July 4th. And Dan, my boyfriend, got me a serger for my birthday. Otherwise known as an overlocker if you are in other countries. And it's such a great gift. It was a big surprise. I had kind of been mentioning that I was thinking about getting one, but it is a big purchase, and so I hadn't quite taken the plunge to buy the serger. And then Dan did a lot of research and he picked out a really good one and he bought it for me for my birthday. And what a guy. He's a very thoughtful gift giver. But anyways, if you're not familiar, a serger is a machine that you can run the edges of your fabric through, and it will encase the raw edge of your seam. So if you look at any of your store-bought clothes, this is what they use on the seams. So yeah, go find a shirt, turn it inside out, and you'll notice all of the seams are kind of encased in this thread tube, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's not really a tube, but I think you'll see what I mean. And so a serger is the machine that does that. And it's not necessary to make your own clothes at home, but it does give your hand sewn objects just a little bit more of a professional finish. And it also makes it a lot easier to sew with stretchy fabrics. So if you want to use like t-shirt fabric to make some t-shirts, the serger creates a very stretchy edge that works really well with stretchy fabric. So I feel like the possibilities have expanded for me and I'm really excited to start using it. I do, however, kind of have to wait for my regular sewing machine to come back before I can really get into using the serger. So I've been practicing with it, you know, kind of getting used to how the machine works. And once my normal sewing machine is back from the shop, I will definitely be doing some sewing. So I do want to talk about what I think is on the horizon for my next sewing projects. If you look back an episode or two, I recently finished the Reglisse dress by Deer and Doe in this green viscose. Super pretty dress. It's maybe my favorite dress I've ever sewn. And I really like that pattern. I think it's very simple, but it fits me super well. And so I think I'm gonna make 2 more versions of the Reglisse dress. And then bonus is that I already have the pattern all assembled and cut out. So, you know, that I think is the part of the process that is the most time consuming. And so that part is done. So I can pretty much jump right in to cutting out my fabric. I decided I wanted to make a few more dresses. So I think I've mentioned before, but Dan and I are going to the French Riviera at the end of August. And I feel like we will probably go out to several nice dinners, and I want to make sure I have some cute outfits that are appropriate for the occasion. So anyways, I have 2 fabrics that I purchased with the intent of making a couple more Reglisse dresses that I will show you. The first is this light blue cotton chambray, very lightweight. And I think that will look nice in this dress. And then I also bought a black cotton poplin. It is very linty. But both of these I bought from Mood Fabrics, in case you are wondering. My original Reglisse I sewed out of a viscose, but the pattern does call for a little bit of a heavier weight fabric, so cotton. It lists out a couple other fabrics. I'm still learning about different fabric types. I'm getting a better idea as time goes on, but I am still very much a novice garment sewer. So anyways, I really liked it out of a viscose, which, you know, if you're familiar, a viscose is very drapey. It has a lot of movement. But these fabrics are a little, you know, they're still very lightweight, but they do have a little bit more stiffness to them. But this is the type of fabric that is called for in the pattern. So I'm excited to sew these versions. I also think by sewing them out of these fabrics, I'll make a little bit more a casual version of that dress. My green one feels very fancy. I originally sewed it to wear to a wedding, so a really nice event. These I think will feel a little bit more appropriate for everyday wear. And yeah, I don't know if I'm being optimistic by thinking that I can get both of these sewn before our trip, given that I don't have my sewing machine at the moment. But my idea is, you know, maybe I can wash up these fabrics this afternoon, and over the next week or two while I'm waiting for my sewing machine, maybe get all of the pieces cut out and then sew them up. I've said this before and I'll say it again, but I do feel like the actual sewing part of the process is the fastest part. You know, prepping your pattern, cutting out your pieces, ironing, all of those things are what actually takes the longest. So I can take care of a lot of those parts without my sewing machine. So I think over the next week or two, I will work on prepping these fabrics so that when my machine is ready for me to pick it up, I will be good to go. And then I will obviously be serging the edges of these dresses. So really excited about that. And that is it for the crafty content for today. So if that's what you are here for, thank you so much for joining me. If you're interested, I will talk about what we have been up to the last few weeks. So like I said, I think it's been 3 weeks since I last recorded, and it has been a busy 3 weeks. All good things. So like I mentioned, the first big thing that happened was my birthday. I turned 31 this year, and Dan and I went with some friends to a lake house that we rented. It's in northern Illinois on Fox Lake, which is pretty close to Chicago. So about an hour and a half away, and we spent a long weekend at a lake house there that we rented. We rented a boat and we're out on the lake for one of the days, and then the second day the house was right on the water, so the second day we just kind of hung out on the dock and swam and had a lot of good food and drinks. And yeah, just hung out, playing games. It was a really relaxing but fun weekend. And then Monday, July 4th was on a Monday, which was my birthday. And we drove home that day and then spent the afternoon with some of our other friends, had a barbecue. And yes, and then the following weekend, which was last weekend, we went up to Door County, which, if you're not familiar, if you look at a map of Wisconsin, there is a peninsula that juts out the right-hand side into Lake Michigan. And that peninsula is called Door County, or it is Door County, I suppose. And I think I've heard it nicknamed the Cape Cod of Wisconsin. It's really nice up there. It's really kind of bougie. There's a lot of yachts and, you know, really nice houses. And I think a lot of people have summer homes up there, you know, if that's something you can afford. I had never been. Dan has been to Door County many times, which is kind of funny because he has been living in Wisconsin for 5 years and I've been living in Wisconsin for 25 years. So he's been to Door County twice and this was my first time. So we went up there with some friends for another long weekend. So we were gone 2 weekends in a row. And it was also really lovely. Door County is known for its cherries. And so we went to a cherry farm. That's also a winery. So they make wine out of the cherries and we had a little tour and the cherries were just, I'd never seen anything like it. Like they were so red. I took a couple pictures and I was looking at the pictures and I was like, these photos look like they've been enhanced. Like the red in the photos looks like it's been enhanced, but that's the true color. It was kind of amazing. And so, yeah, you just like, you know, are driving along the road and then you see these big groves of cherry trees and they're so vibrant and it was beautiful. And then, you know, we did a bit of hiking, we went to the beach, and it kind of felt like we were at the ocean, in certain parts. There were some really beautiful beaches and the weather was just perfect and, it was so pretty. I'm really bad at taking pictures when I'm on trips, but I think I snapped a few. So I will try and include some pictures or videos, whatever I can find on my phone from those 2 trips that we took. But yeah, definitely looking forward to visiting Door County again one day. It was really nice. And then last night, so that brings us to this weekend, we went to a soccer game. Madison has a semi-pro team called Forward. So we went to a Forward Madison game and we bought tickets for, there's this area on the end zone that's like right there. Like you had to pay attention, otherwise you could get hit in the face with a soccer ball. And that was really fun. And then we were walking around after the game. And I guess there's a festival this weekend that I had no idea about. And there was like music happening. So there was like a big stage and kind of this like more like bluesy folk band was playing. And then we like kind of wandered down a side street and we found this tent and they were playing EDM music. It was like really intense. And we were all just kind of laughing because it just felt very random. Like, sure, there's this festival like going on over there, but then, you know, we kind of stumbled across this tent and we went in there for about a half an hour and just like danced and it was super fun. And now I'm tired today, but, yes, that is what we've been up to the last couple weeks. Yes, looking ahead, I do think, so I am not going to be able to record 2 weekends from now. I am going to Boston to visit one of my best friends. So 2 weeks from today, I will be coming home from Boston. I get back at around 10 p.m. So definitely not recording that day, but I will be planning on recording in 3 weeks. And hopefully I will have more of an update on how my trip to Boston went. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been to Boston 5 or 6 times. My friend that lives there moved out there after we finished college. I've known her since we were 12. So after college, she moved out to Boston and has been living there pretty much ever since. And so I really like to go out and visit her, you know, every other year as much as I can. So I've been to Boston quite a few times and I love Boston. I consider moving there sometimes. I really like Boston. It's a great city. So if you live in Boston, I love your city. Anyways, I'm looking forward to that, and we'll hopefully have some pictures and news to share about that trip next time. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great few weeks until I talk to you again, and I will see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.